everyone. You are listening to the Leong Form. We are brothers. My name is Hossan.
And I'm the younger brother, Stanley. Now, in this episode, my brother and I, older brother, will be exploring the big cultural shifts that are happening in the world today. We will be talking to different experts and trying to make sense of everything that perhaps you are also befuddled about.
Yeah, because you see, we live in a world that's changing faster and faster. Everything's evolving. There's technology, there are ideas coming out thick and fast, everything. And especially for us as brothers as well, and the fact that we're both in our 50s in Gen X, we are trying to make sense of what's going on, and we want to learn from people who are experts in the field, right?
That's right.
And sometimes, as I can't stand saying young people because that makes us old people. But let's just say the different generational shifts are very interesting nowadays. A lot that's happening. Language changing. As we get older, we're trying to understand. And so that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, getting into the mindsets and the psyche of people who are of a different generation. Again, I'm trying to avoid the word younger people. So to kick things off today, we're going to explore something that many people have been pondering, and we're going to be talking about mid-career switches. And I can personally, relate to this particular topic because I'm in this season of life. So perhaps our guest would be able to give me some advice as well as I try to navigate this, as perhaps you tuning in would be also trying to figure it out yourself. Now, some of us have done mid-career switches successfully. Some others maybe not as smoothly as you had hoped. Now, we also have to consider the impact of COVID, right? How it has affected the way we work. And then you've got the whole advancement of technology like AI. I mean, is it going to be robbing us of our jobs in the future? So everything really is getting more and more complicated, as Hossan had mentioned, and job scopes too are evolving.
You try getting AI tell jokes see what happens.
Can't they?
You ask AI, hello AI, tell a joke. Flat. Especially in my voice, right?
In your voice.
Yeah.
In your voice.
So I'm very happy today we're going to have a good friend of ours to talk about mid-career switches, especially in the environment that we have nowadays, and about the whole employment situation in Singapore and maybe even global. Yeah. He's a man of many talents. He can interior design. The first time I went to his house in Hougang, I went, wow, this is not HDB flat. And then he sings, and that's how you know him.
Yeah, my first recollection of our guest was when he was on stage. He was in a local musical called Corporate Animals. I can't remember exactly the animal character that he played.
He was a deer.
Oh dear. But, his voice and singing enthralled me, and I just wish he had spent more time in musical theatre, but who knows, he might, you never know, right?
Well, now he's rich because musical theatre cannot earn money.
Maybe he can make a return now because he's rich.
But in Singapore, he's one of the top talent recruiters in this industry, okay? He has founded his own recruitment company called James Kenneth Co. Back in 2010, worked with big clients like Citibank, McDonald's, the Lo and Behold Group, many Fortune 500 companies. And he's got something very exciting to tell you as well,
That's right. I have in my hands, this book titled Higher Power, Hit Hunt Like a Pro, and it's written by James, published by Epigram. James, congratulations on the book, and welcome to the Leong Forum.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you for having me.
So, we've known each other for so many years,
Yes.
okay? I've known you throughout, we said all these different parts of your life, been through thick and thin, literally. Now thick lah.
Age.
Yeah. But your company, James Kenneth Co., you when you started it, what is the ethos of this company? I mean, why did you even want to do it?
I guess I wanted to be in charge of my own destiny. I still remember when I started in Aquin. That was the job before. And it was starting out from scratch, also relaunching the brand in Singapore. And I remember my boss saying, all you need to do is grow it to a team of 10, and that's fine. So I did that within 2 years, and I said, okay, we got it, right? And then he went, no, more.
Expand the company,
Expand the company more. So eventually, when I left, it was a team of 20. But then I realized as you get bigger, headhunting, it is about placing people in jobs, right? But technically, it's still very sales. It's a sales job. You don't place, you don't make any money. And the reason why I started JKK was I wanted to do a good job. I wanted to place people, but I didn't want to place people, how would I say this? I didn't want it to affect quality.
Right,
because when you have to put so many people in, then your quality will go down, right? So you just kind of like, oh, okay. Anyone
becomes a factory like that.
Correct.
So you want it to be like a more boutique firm?
More boutique, I think, yes. I wanted to pick and choose who I wanted to work with. I wanted the world to be my oyster, although I wasn't planning to conquer the world. And because the other thing with the other company is we were getting bigger and we were getting better at what we did. And other countries would come. So I would have a client in Hong Kong saying, can you place here, or Shanghai? And I couldn't because we have an office there. So if we took on the briefs, then what's going to happen to them, right? So then it got really complicated and all of it. Then I was like, you know what? I don't want.
Okay.
So when I started my own, I'm still based in Singapore, but I can work anywhere. So tomorrow, if my client comes from London and say we're looking for an Asian talent, no problem.
Oh, so you can place for Singaporeans overseas as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I thought you bring talent in. Oh, okay.
Both.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting that you said this because, I mean, my brother is now in the midst of a mid-career thing.
I wouldn't call it a crisis.
I didn't say I never say crisis. I say in a thing. Okay,
I read his mind.
So you ask him, you go.
I ask him. Yeah. So, so I mean, in your own observation and your professional line of work as well as being a headhunter, is this somewhat of a conundrum, if you like, of most workers coming to this stage of their career and like figuring out, okay, I need a little bit of a switch up. I need something new. I need to, I want to find more meaning and fulfillment at a certain part of their career. Is this something that most of us tend to come to?
I think for different folks, it comes at different ages. Some will hit them in their 30s.
Oh, that's pretty
young.
early.
Yeah, some will be in their 40s and some will be in their 50s. In their 30s, I think, without being sexist, I think women, because they get hit, and whether they become moms and have kids, and that's a period of time where they go, okay, where are my priorities going to be?
Fair enough.
So they may be looking at doing different roles, working in different industries, so that they could maybe spend more time with family.
Yeah,
right.
And when you're mentioning that, I was thinking of mum, right? I mean, she left her corporate work and started to become a florist. She had her own flower shop. She wanted to spend more time with us. We could, after school, be dropped off at the flower shop in Bukit Merah.
We were child labor, basically.
Yeah. Because then you learn flower arrangements.
And delivery boys.
Yes.
But the thing is that, exactly, so does that kind of mindset still exist? That, I mean, it's not... Why do we live in that kind of mindset where women have to be the ones?
No, I'm not saying women have to be the one. I'm just saying that, I mean, at the earlier phase, then it generally tends to be women. But men as well, just people in general. I guess it depends on lifestyle, kind of like what hits them. A lot of times when people changes careers, it could be one of a number of reasons. Boredom at work. I'm doing the same thing over and over again and I really don't want to. They don't like it anymore. The other one could be a health scare. They can't take the pressure or they need to slow down, but they want to be gainfully employed, blah, blah, blah. The other one would be family. So that applies to women and some men. These generally tends to be maybe the top three reasons why.
You've gone through a few career switches, in a sense, lah.
Yes.
Right? Because you weren't always a headhunter.
No. So I started in advertising.
Yeah.
So I left it when I was in my 30s. And I left it because I wanted to go to client side.
Oh.
So I wanted to be in the marketing department of an MNC as opposed to being on the agency side, right? So
having to pander to the client.
Correct.
You'd rather be the client.
Correct. I'd rather be the client. So what happened was I met the headhunter that placed me in my last job.
Right.
And I said, but she wasn't there anymore. So I met her boss, and her boss basically talked to me and said, I think you should be a headhunter as opposed to us placing you on the client side. So I went, okay. It's not something that I thought about, but then I say, tell me more. So she said, everything that you've learned and amassed in the first 7 years of your career, you can apply to this job. Because in advertising, you were building brands. In headhunting or in search, you're building careers. It's similar, not exactly the same. So you're taking job briefs instead of creative briefs.
Right.
So all of that was great. The other thing she told me was, you can make as much money as you want. There's no politics. Input equates output. So I was like, great, right? She did say it was a 9 to 5, but that wasn't true.
Nowadays, bluff one at 9 to 5.
But everything else was, and that's how I fell into it.
Right.
And I've been doing that now for, a very long time. Maybe over 28 years.
Wow, almost
25, 26 years.
You mean when I met you already? No,
not yet.
Not yet, right?
I was still in advertising.
You were
so
still
about
yes,
25.
yes, you were.
Yeah, so it was about 25 years.
So
Wow.
obviously it has worked out for you, like the switch from advertising into headhunting or recruitment, if you like. Does it necessarily work out for everyone?
In this particular, as moving...
As in making a mid-career switch, as bold as yours, like you said, they were kind of similar, but not quite the same thing.
So I think when you're doing mid-career switches, a couple of things need to go. You need to play up to your strengths. You need to find out what you're good at in general. So for example, yourself. Okay, I know a little bit.
All right, I'm a guinea pig. Yeah.
You let me know if I'm wrong, okay? So you have worked in government. You have done... comms is really your strength. Is it?
More broadcast. Yeah.
Broadcast,
Media,
comms,
radio,
media, right? You were a producer.
Slash presenter. I did both,
slash presenter
We did
and all that.
everything, yeah.
So if you were going to switch, there's a couple of ways that you could have either stayed in government, right, which is where you were from, but you got out. Then you went into media, which is fine. And then after that, the next leap would be in comms, right? Because you would have done media relations. You already know your network on the media side. You write well. So going into a comms, whether it's internal comms within a corporate environment or PR agency, it might be a little bit more challenging going in-house, as in on the corporate side, unless they find some commonalities in terms of the past that you've done. So if they want that government bit that you have done, and you might be doing government affairs for Meta, for example, or whatever, and there's a specific skill set that 15
Government
years,
relations,
government relations, then you would make that switch. Right? But that's quite specific. That's drawing back on your past history. So you need to look at past history to then apply to your next role. So you can get into corporate, you just need to apply that.
Yeah.
Right? The other way is also to go to PR agency. PR agency is baptism by fire.
I underwent that. I had the fire for 2 months on my head, after which I said, no more firing.
But
it's,
it didn't work out for me.
Okay, 2 months may be a little short. Okay. The other way I also put when people switch client side onto PR agencies, the other analogy that I would use is it's like comms on steroids. Because you're working across so many clients.
Yeah. Different
across
sectors.
all different sorts of challenges, and all these challenges are real now, right? And no two industries or client will be the same. So within a very, very short span of time, you will be exposed and required to deliver so many things in compressed. And especially if you're mid-career and you want to jumpstart your career, then you don't have time. You don't have another 20 or 30 years because you want to retire soon, right? So,
good idea, James. Good idea.
But, not all of us can get there like so quickly. So it's unfortunate, but it really depends on what you want to do. Right? If PR agency is not, then it could be in-house. But all I'm saying is PR agency will give you will put you through the paces and you get there quicker. But whatever that you learn on the PR agency side and you find it difficult is because you're not used to the pace. You're not used to the environment. It's just like going to work out. If you all of a sudden carry 20 kgs, I also give up.
That was a sore point, yes.
No,
but this is the thing I want to ask as well. So, like Stanley, for example, because you've been so used to working in an environment which kind of is controlled in a way, right?
Yeah.
On radio, government, and back to radio.
It's very predictable.
Again.
Routine.
Yes.
A routine.
Yeah. Yes.
So is it an age thing, mid-career switch?
Yeah.
That when you go into PR and then suddenly I cannot take it. Everything's coming at I must power. Or is it a personality thing?
I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
I
Because
think
as you get older,
as we get
learn.
older, some people don't like change, but generally the how your stereotype is as you get older, you don't like change. I think human beings just don't like change, and everybody wants to get things quicker, faster, path of least resistance. I mean, that's human nature. Okay, so I think there's a bit of that, but I also think the other bit in terms of where you're coming from also does affect. Because if you think about it, if we're mid-career switches in our 40s or our 50s, we would have worked for another 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And if we're so used to a certain regimen, process,
Software.
everything, right? Then it's like taking fish out of water. And this also applies whenever I talk to candidates. When we talk to them, and when I talk to them, they always say, "Oh yes, I'm okay. I know. I know it's going to be challenging. I know it's going to be different. I know but I can handle." Talk is cheap.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say that. You can say anything, but actually living it and actually believing it and actually kind of like going through it, that's a whole different story. And that applies to both work as well as personal, right? You can say whatever you want to say. But you need to
walk the talk.
Walk the talk.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was ready, of course, to want to do PR in an agency role and make it work. Of course, I'm not, joining and knowing that it's probably going to fail halfway. But when I was told that it would be then quality time with my kids rather than quantity time, and I've got a young kid, that was where I drew the line and said, nope. At this stage of my life and career, I know my priorities. I don't need to prove that I can be the perfect and the most excellent PR, client servicing director or as associate director ever. I know where my strengths are, and I know families first. So that was where I drew the line. And I said, okay.
So they said that you would be able to spend time.
No, they said they kind of suggested that it'll only be quality time now with your kids. Don't think about quantity time with your kids. I need both. I need both for a young child.
So then, what then in that case, what is the realistic approach for this kind of career switch, right? If the company says no, you have to work till 8, and you miss dinner with your child,
I think in that kind of situation, why you're putting me on the spot, huh? So I become not only career counselor but also kind of like counselor.
Your therapist.
No, so I've been doing this all my life anyway. But so it really depends. Your story will be different from another person's story, and your circumstance is different, right? Nobody can tell you what to do.
Yeah, only you know what's right.
Only you know what's right. But then, what is the flip side of that? You have a young child. I do not know what your wife does and all of it. I mean, if you say money is not an issue, it's okay. I don't have to work. Then so be it. Very good. Okay. But if you don't and you need a dual income, right? I can tell you that there's no job that if you're going to come out now and do something different, if you go back to doing something the same, then you might be able to get whatever you're getting. Right? But if you go back to something quite similar, then you're going to be bored, right? Which is why you left. So if you go back, the money bit, kau tim. Then the next thing then will be, you don't need to be excited in your work. Find something else then. So go back to government, do something else that makes you happy, right? That was another thing that every time when I talk to mid-career, they say, "Oh, I'm bored and I'm this and I'm not learning anymore, or I can do my job with my hands behind my back, and I get paid 500,000, and I'm So I'm like, very good, no, very good.
Yeah.
So if you're earning good money but you're bored, why do you need to job hop? Why do you need to change just because you're bored? Why don't you do things which means you can do your job in half the time. So you have another 50% of your time to do something else that you have put off for how many years in your life, okay? You might want to take up fitness, or you want to go and volunteer for certain things, or anything lah.
Write a book like
or
you
write
have.
a book.
Yeah, I don't know where you find
You
time.
know, use the time to do something
Right.
else, right? Why do you have to go? And the other thing people always will say to me is like, oh, but better opportunity or people think grass is greener on the other
Always,
side,
right?
right? Always, right? And I will tell them, no, the grass is not always greener on the other side because it might be dead, brown, worse still, it might be cement.
Wow.
Okay?
Very
Carpet
good.
grass.
Right, carpet grass.
Fake.
So it's not always greener on the other side. So
So, okay, let's say, so for Stanley now, right?
Yes.
And for a lot of people who are maybe listening and they're in their mid-career mindset switching, what are the perhaps skills that one should equip ourselves with in order to go, okay, I think I'm going to take this next leap of faith, and what should we equip ourselves with?
I think the main thing you need to self-reflect thoroughly in terms of what your strengths are. Okay, in general, from soft skills and then hard skills. So if you have always been doing something in, I don't know, healthcare, maybe go to adjacent industries. Okay, don't like it's like you're a doctor and then all of a sudden you want to be something else. It ain't gonna happen.
Except if you're a lawyer and they always become actors.
But can talk.
They are. Unless you're a mime artist.
So adjacent industries, right? So so look at that, but look at what you're good at and then try and apply. But overarching in terms of, regardless of whichever industry that one is in, you need to be up to date with technology.
AI and all that.
AI, how it applies, how to use it. Don't be afraid of it. It's already taken over some roles like data entry, cashier. You go McDonald's, you don't really need the auntie to take money anymore. You use so those kind of routine tasks, those kind of roles have already been. It will slowly go away. So what, as individuals, we need to do is now we need to value add. We all need to become smarter. With AI, you need to be able to prompt. You need to scope. You need to set up parameters to then allow AI to then come up with it, right? You need to be able to imagine in your head. You need to have, you need to know where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know where you want to go, AI cannot tell you where to go.
That's
right?
true. Because people always think the AI does everything for
No,
you.
The parameters are so important.
Yes.
And that was something I learned because I used my Skills Future to sign up for a basic AI understanding how AI can help you in your
And you had
work.
so much fun.
Well, that's debatable, but anyhow, I learned how to use different kind of tools, and I could come up with company logo. I could come up with images.
But were you interested in all that though?
I think it's going to be useful. I mean, whether professionally or even personally. But the interesting thing at that course, that one-day program, was that there were a lot of more senior people, many of them retirees, homemakers. And when I set foot into the classroom, I was looking around like, wait, am I in the right class? But they were really there to learn about AI, which was really intriguing. Great. And I asked one old auntie who was, seated beside me, and I said, why are you learning this program, this course? Why are you enrolled in this course? And she said, well, because my granddaughter would ask me what is AI, so she thought she better have some way of coming back with an answer.
Like, it was the first time he was the youngest in the entire class.
I was about the youngest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So that's how interesting, right? That all the seniors are learning these things.
The other thing also on AI is, I think, it pushes one to master your language.
Which is important.
Which is
I think
very
we're losing
important.
our language skills.
Including our punctuation marks. Right?
That's another topic altogether.
Because a similar word could mean similar things, but the nuance are different, right? I can't come up with an example right now, but I think those kind of things will be more important. So a lot of times, sometimes people say, oh, you won't be able to write, you can't. To a certain extent, maybe, but then you still need to know the English language deeper to then really extract the value of AI.
So Okay, so let's just move away from technology for a little while because I think especially in my business, I've come to you so many times before, because like no work lah, jobless actor lah. I go, James, should I get a real job? Should I go full time? Right? And many times I've done that. I got no money this year. How? And then you've always given me advice, right?
Yeah.
About what do you really want to do.
Yeah.
Which is what we're circling back to. I can't stand using jargon like that, but circling back to how we. It's about the passion. It's about what I really enjoy getting up every day to do.
Yeah.
But one needs a network though, because you can't just be a single lone island, and then expect work to fall into your lap. So how does one build that kind of network, especially for someone like Stanley who's in mid-career and then or whoever wants to expand? How?
Okay, one thing that I find if someone hasn't really been looking for a job or doing all these switches, they tend to be quite focused on their day-to-day, right?
Yeah.
So their network's not big.
No.
So even for the most extroverted person, they sometimes feel uncomfortable talking to people, but that's the main thing. Talk to other headhunters. Talk to people in the industry that you want to. Talk to your friends, right? Some of them like, paiseh lah, I don't want to talk, don't want to feel like I'm desperate or, I'm switching jobs already. And they get, you know what? Don't give a shit about what people think. I mean, if they're your friends, they should give you advice, right? And if it's an industry that you want to go to, I would actually suggest for that person to reach out, not to HR.
The people who will hire you don't reach out to them?
Don't reach out to HR, okay? Sorry. I don't mean anything, but I just mean, like say, if you want to know what the real job is in comms or a programmer or whatever, talk to someone who has walked that path, right? You can get a lot of information. And if they don't know you from a bar of soap, you can always just say, hey, you may not get a reply, right? But if you're honest and you say, hey, this is who I am and I'm looking at this. I see that you are so-and-so in here. You've been there for 5 years. There must be a reason why you've been in this company for, and I'm interested to know a little bit more about this job function in this industry. Can I buy you coffee? Can I buy you lunch?
And you never know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the ways that
how
I
you
do
it, yeah.
every day.
Reading your book, I'm like, wow, you
To
very
clients?
busy. How much coffee you drink a day?
A lot. To just people that I don't know, right? And why would they want to see you? Right? So I would do that way. I would also maybe ask clients to refer me in or candidates to refer me in. So just use whatever network that you have. Don't be shy.
Just really putting yourself out there.
You have to put yourself
Right?
out
Don't
there.
just put open for hire on LinkedIn, but really put yourself out there, go out, network,
Correct.
connect with people.
Still put open.
Yeah. Still
but
put that sign
just
on.
don't stop there because that's very passive. You've just done something, you wait for somebody, right, to
Yeah.
come in, and you have to do both, right? And again, when you talk about mid-career switch, it depends on how old, what age. If you're in your 30s and you go, then you still have maybe 30 years of working. But if your mid-career switches are in your 50s, it's challenging.
Yep.
Because
the runway is shorter already.
Yes.
Yeah, and then your knees start creaking, you can't run much anyway.
Tell me about it.
Nobody's going to say this to you. But there is definitely ageism out there.
Yes.
They won't say.
They can't say what?
They can't say, right? So the usual that you'll get is, fit's not right.
Yeah.
They won't-
Overqualified.
Yeah, or they'll just give you some very vague reasons.
I guess that there are the things that you can do well if you don't want to go full time, part-time passive income stuff or gigging.
Yeah, the gig economy.
Gigging.
What are your thoughts on that for those who are planning mid-career switches? Is it sustainable, especially given that more and more interest, even by government agencies, are being diverted, right? Insurance and whatnot.
Yeah. Yes, it's sustainable if you can hustle. Because in a gig economy, you have to go out there, put yourself out
Yeah.
there, go and get the business. No one's going to do it for you unless you're going to hire someone and, all of that. So, yes, it's sustainable.
Yeah.
If you...
Yeah, lah. So Taiko has done it for 30 years. Lah, it's really
You
a hustle.
just have to.
It is
Sales, right?
It's
I think
sales.
ultimately in your book,
Yeah.
even your
Selling
book, you say it's
yourself.
about
Yeah,
sales.
and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter whether you're a marketing director in a big MNC. It doesn't matter if you're... We are constantly selling. We're either selling internally, we're selling it externally, we're pitching our ideas. We're constantly selling, right? And it's not a bad word, but it's a skill. It's a skill because selling involves a lot of things. You need to read people well. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be authentic from the get-go.
I think it's important the word authentic.
Yeah, you need to be
because
authentic.
we can see fake
Yes.
from a mile away.
Correct. And if you think, if a person is already in sales mode, or okay, let's say if I'm a headhunter and I start talking, the clients will know I want a brief, right? So I don't go in there and say, oh, so what job do you have for me? And, I talk to them about the industry. I talk to them about just in general, And sometimes through that conversation, they will then go, oh, interesting you said this, actually we have a need. But then I'm like going, when I first contacted you, you said, my head lah. So you say no role. So then I'll go with the flow, right? So when that lever opens or that door opens, I need to be able to then go, okay, I know exactly what you want. Is this the kind of personality, It'll be even better if I go straight to LinkedIn and I pick up a few profiles and say, are you looking for this kind of people?
Okay.
So if it's the first time I've had a conversation and he doesn't know me from a bar soap, what I've done is I've already communicated that I know the industry, I know the people, I know what he's looking for, and I didn't have to take 2 weeks to go. I may only have 2, but at least I would understand what he's looking for, and then I can then search for more.
So in that case, right, when you do a mid-career switch like that, for example, it's okay to how to say go one level down in a sense. Because for example, in our industry, as in the entertainment industry, I always keep saying that we always hustling because we need to always look for a next job. You can be Phantom of the Opera one day, sign a 2-year contract, and be on West End. And then your contract ends. And then the next thing, you are selling programs in front of house because that you need to earn a living. But this is our gigging industry. This is how, there's no corporate ladder in the arts, unless you join Arts Council. But so then how does it work for someone like Stanley, for example? Because you've been at this level for so many years. Would you want to go like, okay, let's do something different and take a pay cut or do something completely? Is it an ego thing? Is that I don't know.
That he needs to answer that.
Because I think it's a very personal,
because different people, right? So whether you want to continue gigging, then you need to understand kind of like, okay, this is the ecosystem. This is what we need to do. I need to do. And it's the balance, right? It's the balance because you have a young kid and you don't want to sacrifice quantity over quality and all of that. But what is that quantum? I can't tell you, right? I won't know. So you need to be able to be comfortable with that and then still be able to find the jobs. It's not necessarily easy. It might take a few tries before you get it, but the marketplace right now is very challenging.
Today,
Now.
right? Globally, right?
It doesn't matter.
It's like, wow.
It is very challenging. So last year, in and of itself, I was talking to so many people who were earning maybe 20K and above out of jobs. So some of them could be in their 30s, 40s, 50s. The minute they hit their 50s, and they may be on the higher, and if they lose their job, it's quite scary because it's very hard for them to go back in, right? And these candidates are coming from really top companies. When they talk to me, they are not first round or second round cuts. They are in the 4th and 5th round cuts.
So close.
Wow.
Yeah. So what that means is that these people are very good and companies don't want to lose them. But they have no choice because maybe they're not making from a revenue standpoint and they need to cut. So then they have to cut, right? And it's very sad because these are really good people, but there are no jobs. Some don't want to take a cut, then they wait lah. Some might be a bit more, then they'll say, okay, I'm quite open to it, so let's see. The other option that some are going, we want to be, okay, this whole fractional marketing, fractional this, fractional
what does
that.
that mean?
It's basically freelance or contract. Okay,
I
but
see.
it's
Okay.
another term now.
Wow.
Fractional marketing director. But there's more people there, and it's becoming more of it because there's a lot of good talent now. Yeah, that can do this fractional bit. But even if you talk to all these who are doing fractional roles, the success rates and are they surviving, it's a hit and miss. Because the one thing that if you're in a fractional role, basically if you need to hustle. Right? And if you're 20 to 30 years, you're very comfortable in big organization with structures and multi-budgets and stuff. You're not necessarily hustling out there.
You're very protected. Yeah.
Correct, right? So your CV might be great. If someone comes through the door and wants your work, then good, But then if you have to go in there, it's a bit of a... It's for some people, it might be, I won't say embarrassing, but it's like...
Yeah lah, a bit of loose
Toot
face
my
lah.
horn.
Yeah, some don't want to toot their horn. Some may go, okay, I used to work in Google, now I'm on my own and a bit they won't say it to me, but it's the, I now may look a bit desperate lah.
Yeah, but loose face lah.
Loose
It's a
face lah.
pride lah.
See, I mean...
Yeah, then, so I suffer this thing called imposter syndrome, right? So if I were to go to you and say, I want to do all these things, right? I want blah, 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 or whatever. How does one deal with that? I mean, that means you pretend that you can do the job? Can you see through all those clients, those people that you meet?
He's wearing special glasses.
Candidates? You know what I mean? Because,
I mean, my secret weapon is the word why.
Why you are imposter?
No. They'll say
Why do you
whatever they
feel
want,
like-
right? They'll say,
right.
oh, I'm strategic and I think I've done this. I say, okay, why are you strategic? Then they'll tell me, okay, why is that strategic? If I keep asking why and, how did you get there? And, it will unravel very quickly if you don't have what it takes. You can't articulate it. And you're just spewing...
These words. So you come back to the fake thing again.
Yeah,
You
so
can
it's
tell.
like a lot of words people use is like, I'm strategic lah, I'm people lah. Some will just, you ask them about their key achievements and I'll ask them about their strategic thoughts in terms of doing whatever they do, and they'll give me the process.
Oh, okay.
Right? So then I'll go, okay, so you're strategic from a process point of view, but you're not necessarily strategic.
Itself.
Yeah. So I know the steps from how to get from A to Z and how to navigate that and do some shortcut, but the heavy lifting is not there, especially if it's someone quite senior.
How did they get there in the first place?
Some people have the gift of the gap, some people manage up and they hire better people than themselves, and
It sounds like your former company, huh?
Moving on to other tools, I suppose. Other tools that might be helpful for this journey, especially for those of us who are moving from, one job and feeling a little bit like restless, wanting to do something else, or, for the more unfortunate ones, having to be axed and retrenched, and then they're left in the lurch, if you like. Are there certain tools or programs that you think they should really consider as being helpful for this journey as they contemplate, making that mid-career switch, perhaps to a different industry, an adjacent, sector, as you say?
So it all goes back to what you want to do, right? And if what you want to do, you're not equipped, then yes, obviously, take some. So for one example, in the past, many years back, when digital was, before AI, digital, right?
Yes.
And everybody say digital, but they only know broadly. So you have companies like General Assembly. You have, can't remember, there's another one that, gives certification, they go into that. But those it's good, it's knowledge, but you still need to apply. It doesn't mean that you go to General Assembly, you come out, you pay whatever, and you can still maintain the salary that you want.
Yep.
Because you've got the knowledge, but you haven't really worked it. So again, depending on the organization, depending on what they are required, then how many levels down do you keep it at the same? It depends, right? But to answer your question, yes, go get upskilled. But I think the main thing with mid-career switches is you need to know your strengths. You need to know, for example, talk to a headhunter, okay, who is specialized in the area that you are working in, and then go, okay, this is my background. What can I do out of here,
Fair
right?
enough.
So whether it's a headhunter, whether it's someone in the industry that you value his or her opinion. Now there's so many coaches and all that. Yeah, you could, but so you could, but there's so many of them. I also don't know. But I think the main thing is
life coaches.
yes, life coaches.
as
as well.
well.
I'll ask you about that.
Yes.
Sorry.
But you need to know where you want to go, what you want to do,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like it's hard for me to give you a one size fits all because you would be different from another person, right? So then work backwards. So sometimes I would ask a person like, if they're already in their 50s, when do you want to retire?
Tomorrow.
Then okay, and how much do you need to earn?
Yeah.
Forget about roles and all and whatever. How much do you need to survive?
To survive, or to live
So,
comfortably.
right?
Yeah.
How much do you need? Okay, they'll tell me something. Then work backwards. Then go, okay, so for this kind of money, you could be doing this. So it's a process of sometimes elimination, and it's, some people are married, have kids, got mortgage, not yet paid off. Some don't have, so
Yeah.
Like,
You really could do your math,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do your
And it
accounting.
boils down to the individual as well, right? What your needs are and what your wants are. What you want and what you need can be different.
Correct.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we are at our age,
Young.
for me, it's about being happy. It is about, yes, you're going to get not so good days and all that. We all get that. But you need to be in a comfortable place where you're happy lah. So for me, it's like, yes, I wrote a book. My friends was like, hey, what are you going to do next? You want to do this lah? You want to do that? You want to do so many things? But I say, I'm happy. I'm still doing my headhunting. It's not that I haven't. I'm still doing that full time. I have finished the book, so now trying to promote the book. I'm doing Hyrox in Taipei in
You're doing what again? Sorry.
I'm participating.
Seriously?
Yeah, I'm racing for Hyrox
Oh.
in April.
I feel very
Wow.
tired for you now. Just saying.
So that means I have to fit in training time.
Yeah.
Right. So,
But that is what makes you happy.
Yeah, and if you want to do it, you will find the time. If you don't want to do it, you will make excuse. Right? So don't make excuses for yourself. Know where you want to go, and just go for it. I mean,
I think it's interesting because a lot of people don't. I mean, I guess when you reach a certain stage in your life where your aspirations and your needs or your wants have kind of been fulfilled. I mean, materialistically, for example, fashion lah, travel lah. Then it boils down to something more intangible. Like, I mean, for your case, Stanley, it could be because it's family. You've got the kid, you've got your wife, and then then what makes you at peace at the end of the day when you go home, right? Or when you wake up in the morning. I know it sounds very esoteric and all that, but it's true because when we were younger, we wanted to do all these things. We wanted to have all these things, and so as we do our mid-career switch,
you have to reassess what's important in life.
In life, yes.
Right? And are you single? Are you married? Your situations are completely different.
Yes.
If you don't want to work and your partner is okay with it and is supportive and allows you to have a break, have that break. Right? But when you also be mindful that as you have that break, you also take care of him or her, right? And their needs, because they are now shouldering a lot of the responsibility from a financial standpoint, right? So sayang them a little bit more lah. Yeah, don't just think about yourself and all of that. So You just be mindful lah. I mean, if you're in a family unit and stuff, then everyone shares the load.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You know, there's this one career coach that had this advice for those contemplating a mid-career move, and she boils it down to VIPs: values, interests, personalities, and skills. Somewhat, very aligned really with what you've been saying all this while, James. Anything else to add to this mix of VIPs?
Values,
interests, personalities, and skills.
No, I think that basically summed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But the job market, like you said, is very hard right now.
Yeah.
So we're a bit worried. I mean, even in the gigging industry for us as well. I mean, for Stanley looking for a job next, for us, because budgets are being cut left, right, center.
Yes.
So if now for D&Ds, no more big ballroom, I host, I sing song, all they have it in the pantry or the grab food. Because that's how much budgets are being cut. So what is your personal, I mean, you are doing your research here and you analyze the market. What is your forecast for the next few years? I mean,
I'll be a millionaire if I had.
Not you lah. You are a millionaire. Hello, I'm going to be your best friend forever already.
I mean, when people ask me this question, right, I always tell them I've been in the business, in the headhunting business for over 20 odd years, right? And never ever have I ever heard from my clients tell me the next year is going to be better.
Oh, is it?
Never.
Oh.
Always got something on. Right? Economy lah, or this lah, or that lah, or okay lah, we're cautiously optimistic.
Wow, okay.
I never had, so to me it is, you can't control something that is out of your control.
True.
The world will be whatever it is. You need to be aware, you need to adapt. As human beings, we need to adapt, whether it's AI, whether it's, how what you call business have to function, like say working remotely or all of that. Organizational structure will change. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we need to adapt, and we need to be mindful that these changes will have an impact. But we need to also go beyond it and be willing to accept it and evolve. Because I think very often we get stuck in the rut, in our comfort zone, and we're happy doing what we want. You push me a little bit, okay lah, but don't push me too much because I'll be too uncomfortable because I've got other things I need to do, right? Because then you encroach into my time. And what I find right now, which I find quite disturbing, is more the younger generation, who I find is not, they may not be resilient enough to change. You can't push them too hard.
Interesting, because they got so much technology to learn and all that. You mean in terms of what? Work ethics?
Work ethics, attitude. I would have like account managers who say their AEs will tell them, after 6 o'clock, don't call me, it's my time.
Oh, yes, I've heard this before as well.
Not CEO level, so you're talking to an account manager who's dealing with account.
Be working.
Yeah, and talking to her AEs. And her AEs will tell her, okay, after 6 o'clock, you don't call me, because it's my time already.
Okay.
Then you push them a little bit, they cry. You push them a little bit, they say, I've got mental,
mental health.
Well, what can we say, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you say something, then, not, then they'll throw the diversity thing what woke or not.
I'm so woke.
They cancel you out. I don't know. But,
No, but I get it, because we have it across the board. I think in every industry. And it's not, for me, it's nothing wrong with that. If you want, you go and take a break or what. But work is work. That's where if I'm running a show, that's where I come from. You got to do your job lah. Then if you really take off, you take off. Okay, but get the job done. I think that's where I come from. But so for Stanley now,
it's not all about me.
No, why is this episode about me? It's about you because you want to make career change. What?
Yeah.
I'm constantly changing, so I don't know.
Chameleon.
Any final thoughts that you want to ask James, or that do you think you can he can?
No, I think my takeaway would be to really know yourself, know what you value in life and work. Play to your strengths. Put yourself out there.
And know how much you need to live.
Yes, do your
Yeah.
maths, right? Seek your assistance from your financial advisor if you need to, and your private banker if you have one. So
And
putting
then
that all together.
sometimes, let's say, it's okay to be, again, uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's okay to not be okay.
Okay, yeah, you
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
move. Because it's unsettling, it's uncomfortable.
I think let's look at it on the bright side now, lah, as we end the podcast. Because doom and gloom, next 5 years die, no job.
Have. Oh, to answer your last question,
yes.
right? Just strive to be the best version of you.
Okay.
Okay, do the best. Good people will always find jobs.
Yes.
Crap people will not find jobs. No
Absolutely.
matter whether it's high,
Whichever industry.
whichever industry,
Yeah, right.
whichever, down market, up market, whatever market,
Yeah.
just be really good at what you do.
I also think that in the end of the day, just the final thoughts. You will face more rejections in life
Yes.
than acceptance, than being hired, and that's why being in the gig industry gives you a very thick skin to say, okay, fine, you don't like me, but not because I'm not good. I may not be the right fit for the whatever role that comes your way, whoever's looking for new work. So I just say, I think to wrap things up, keep your chin up,
Yep.
everyone. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom. Okay, despite what's happening around the world, I think within your own circle, within your own ecosystem, be the best version of yourself. And on that note, my best friend James, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And letting us all share in this, because I think a lot of us who are listening to you could be in the same conundrum right now and have no idea what to do with their lives. And so I think you have enlightened a lot of our listeners. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
welcome.
and we're all in this for the long haul. Before we end the episode, just want to, of course, remind our listeners that James Kenneth Koh, JKK, is a new author of his first ever book, right? I'm
Yes.
sure there's already one in the works, the second one,
It's
perhaps.
an overachiever like some people.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Higher Power is titled Headhunt Like a Pro.
Yeah.
And you can connect with headhunters like James on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as well. And of course, check out James's new book. Once again, Higher Power, HIRE, not HIGHER. Higher Power, Headhunt Like a Pro, available now at epigrambookshop.sg as well as at Kinokuniya Singapore.
Well, I read the book. So I congratulations.
You're not going to
Thank you.
become a headhunter, are you?
No, it's okay, thanks. I got enough on my plate already. But yeah, so it's really good reading. So go get it, because I think even if you're not in the industry,
Yeah.
there are some wise things that you've said in there
Yes.
that applies across the board.
Yeah.
As people,
As long
well
as you're in
humans.
sales.
As long as you're a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than just technology, it's about relationships.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So on that note, thank you once again. Tune in to our next episode of the Leong Form.
Very long, huh?
You Chong Hei Ma.
Sorry.
Where I think this could be Singapore's first sibling podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
We're going to fight more in upcoming
We don't
episodes
fight
as well.
one, ah.
Oh yeah, we don't fight.
We just share opinions.
Yeah.
See ya. Bye. The Leong Form podcast is brought to you by Double Confirm Productions.
That's right, and you can stream and subscribe as well as scream all about it off our show on all major podcast platforms. You're talking about Spotify and Apple.
And we're also on YouTube, so don't forget to like the YouTube channel as well as subscribe to it. Make your comments there, leave everything, ask questions and all that. And we will also update you on the brand new episodes that will come along.